When I was trying to think about what to write for my next thriller, I thought most thrillers seem to start with something bad happening right at the beginning, or there's the threat that something terrible is going to happen. And I thought, what if that terrible thing has already happened? And I can't imagine personally anything worse than the death of a child. So the story begins when this terrible thing has already happened. Ruby May Flowers drowns when she's 2 years old, and the family are just beside themselves with grief. But then they go away to this remote island and, worse things are going to happen. But what I was interested in exploring was grief and how society doesn't always allow people to grieve in the ways that are comfortable to them. So for instance, one of the main protagonists is a young man, Nick. He's Ruby May's uncle, and he's young, he's childless, and I just feel like society doesn't really allow people like him, young men like him, to grieve in the way that perhaps Nick needs to. When I was writing 1 year later, we had bought a house in Somerset, but we hadn't actually moved there because we wanted to renovate it. And this gave me a bit of space and distance to be inspired by our new home. So there's a few scenes that take place in Somerset, which is where the family originally grew up. For instance, in our garden in our house in Somerset, there was a ruined cottage because this whole area used to be a mining village. And I thought, what if there was a ruined cottage in the gardens of the house in Somerset where the family grows up? And what if it collapses on one of the children? And so that became the basis of a scene in 1 year later. Rather ghoulishly, I was very excited about this and told my husband, and he was so freaked out about it that he hired a stonemason and got the guy to shore up the ruin in our garden so that hopefully it will never collapse upon anybody. The setting for 1 year later is Bristol, where the Flowers family currently live, and Somerset, where they grew up. But I've also set it mostly in Italy, in this very hot, beautiful island. But it's almost like I'm drawing on Dante's Inferno. Nick, the main character, is going to have to go through 9 circles of hell before he gets to the end of the book.